All right, you got your homework handouts out. You had 6 problems to do for homework, and the first one really couldn't have been much easier. So we'll go to Brandon for this one. Brandon, what did you get for that first problem? 3-2 is correct. The next one really not bad either, though a little multiplication required before you could use the addition method. Could have gone substitution, I suppose. Genesis, what did you get for number 2? 2 - 3 is correct. Number 3, probably not going substitution. You're probably the elimination method. Kendall?
7-10.
Not 7-10. Audrey?
7-3.
7-3 is correct. So I'm guessing you knocked out the y, Kendall. You got the 7. You plugged the 7 into top or bottom?
The top.
Top equation. Oh, I know what you did. So you got the 21 minus 4y equals 9. You forgot when the, no, that doesn't make sense either. You brought the 21 over to get a 30, is my guess, but then I wouldn't divide by 4.
Yeah.
So should have brought it over to -21 to get -4y equals -12, and that's where y equals 3. So 7-3. Let's see, number 4. Tell you what, we'll go back to Kendall for redemption on 4.
-1, -3.
-1, -3 is correct. All of those pretty basic. Anyone 4 for 4 on the first 4? 4 for 4 on the first 4. How about 3 out of 4? Just missed 1. All right, Kendall, we already figured out what you did. Questions from anyone else on those first 4?
For number 4, I got 18/13 for P, so on.
18/13 for your
P.
for the P value. Your Q was -3?
No.
What was your Q?
Question mark.
Question mark. Slob. Okay, that does give me a point to address, though, in just a moment. You said...
On number 1, I just put the 3 over the y.
Okay, let's see, you missed number 1. You got the 3, put it in the wrong spot. Okay, that makes sense, too. All right, so looking at number 4, you tried to knock out the Q, is that right? Multiply top by 6, bottom by 5. So check your work, 66p -30q equals 24. Bottom by 5 is 40p, -30q equals 50. And then you change the signs in the bottom. So that knocks this out. Should have had a 26p is equal to -26.
I got -36.
That's why. Okay. Yeah, so when you do the subtraction, just a borrowing error. So -26, and that's where should have had p equals -1. Now, to his point, okay, he realized, okay, -13/8 is something, yeah, it's just, or -18/13, whatever he said that it was just nasty, right? You don't want to go plugging that back in, but that happens sometimes, right? There are times we may get a value that's just obscene. Okay, in that case, how did you get your p? Right or wrongly, you got it by knocking out the q. You don't want to plug the p back in, so get the q by knocking out the p. So what you should have done was multiply top by 8 to get 88p -40q equals 32. Bottom by 11, 88p -66q equals 110. Go across the top, knock out the p's. There's a -26q equals 78. And there's your q equals -3. So you could have still gotten it, but not by plugging in the nasty fraction, because ain't nobody want to do that. Plus, if it's wrong, you're going to get another wrong answer. So just knock out the letter you didn't knock out the last time. And that's how we get that, kind of like with those literal systems we worked on in the last lesson, remember? Where we said, well, we just solved it through twice. Once knock out this letter, once knock out that letter. We could have done that there on number 4. That's how you can save yourself if you get a crazy answer on the 1. Go through by knocking out the other. Number 5. On number 5, what do we have to use in order to solve this? Let's see, Maddie? I'm sorry? The u and the v, right? The uv substitution, since we have those denominators of x and y. So how did you rewrite your top equation? And the bottom? There we go. And not really set up to solve by the substitution method. So I'm assuming you went addition and you knocked out the v, multiplying the bottom by 2 to get. That allows then the v's to cancel, giving you 33u equals 11. So u is equal to, careful here, not dividing 33 by 11 to get 3. 11 divided by the 33 gets 1/3. Good news is that's pretty easy to plug in right here. Did you plug it back in, or did you say, okay, now I'm going to resolve knocking the u out because I just don't want to mess with the fraction? You did plug it in. Okay. And that's fine. You could take the other approach, but I think 1/3 plugs in easily because 1/3 of 3 is just 1. So 1 plus 8v equals 3. 8v then equaled 2, so v was equal to 1/4. But that's not my answer because it never intended for us to solve for u and v. It wanted us to solve for x and y. And here the x should be what, Abby? 3, the reciprocal of u, because u is the reciprocal of x. And then y should be 4, the reciprocal of v. How many had 3, 4 as your answer? All right, there are questions on the uv substitution. Any questions at all on that? All right, and then number 6 is just obnoxious looking. But not so obnoxious we need to put question marks. Because when we see fractions class, after we get over our initial feelings of hatred and loathing and detestableness, I mean, if I'm detestable, detestation for the detestableness of the fraction, we multiply everything class by the LCD. So, Michael, top equation, multiply everything by?
4.
To get?
2r minus 48 equals s plus 32.
Good. So first equation, no problem. Second equation, LCD is a little bit bigger this time. Michael?
40.
40 to get?
5s minus 16s plus 24r equals 400? 4,000. 1,000.
There we go. And so there's our answer there. This was key right here, the positive 24r. Do we all see that the 40 and that denominator 5 would cancel to give you an 8, but it was a negative 8 technically. So multiply negative 8 times the 2s, we get negative 16s, and then negative 8 times the negative 3r gives us that positive 24r. How many got this far on the problem? All right, are there questions on how he did it? Because he was just doing it in his head. I was just writing down what he said. Does anyone need to see the work that went on in Michael's head just now? All right, we're all good. Good. All right, at this point then, Michael, we still have quite a mess, and it doesn't look pretty at all. What should we do to make this less messy?
Combine your letters.
Yeah, let's do a little combining. For instance, here I've got a couple of s's that combine to get
Negative 11s.
negative 11s. The 24r has nothing to combine with, and the 1000 is happy over there. What can we do with the top equation?
Switch the 48 and the s.
All right, so we can bring the s over here, so the 48 there to get
Negative s and 80.
There we go. And of course, we'll leave the positive 2r there. And so there's my modified system there. How many worked the system back to this point? Or how many left the s and said 2r minus 80 and did a substitution later? You could have done that also. Okay, everyone lined it up? All right, any questions to this point? All right, so now, Michael, what do we do?
Multiply the top by 11.
I actually like the top by 11, yeah. So let's go, that'll give us a negative 11s, here a 22r, and here an 880. Though the s's don't cancel yet.
Yeah, switch the signs on the top.
Yeah, top has smaller numbers. Let's go there to change the signs. That allows the s's to cancel. Here giving me a nice easy
2r.
And then right here,
120.
120, so that r is equal to
60.
QRS, R comes before S, so 60 is going to go in the first spot. The S value is going to go in the next one. How do we go about getting the S value now, Genesis? We've got the R. How do we get the S? Plug it back in for the top equation, bottom equation. I like the top, especially since you've got an S sitting right here. So we plug in the 60 here, 2 times the 60, minus the 48. And then let's also subtract away a 32 as well, so that way the S is by itself. And there's my S value. How many had 60, 40 for your answer? Okay, several of you did. Those who didn't, now that we've seen it, does it make sense? Any questions on systems of equations, particularly on those last two that involve fractions? Questions on this? Clear your desk, except for a clean sheet of paper and a pencil. I'll take the handouts back if you did not write on them. Consistent with my lazy character. Sheet of paper, pencil, calculator, everything else away. First and last name at the top of your paper, along with today's date, which is 3/1/22, March the 1st. Still a few more weeks before we get to spring. So it felt like summer a couple of days ago. First and last name, 3/1/22, today's date. And this is quiz number 27. Quiz 27. All right, let's take a look at the quiz together. You have 4 systems of equations to solve, a few of them rational systems. And then a couple of word problems, similar to the ones we've been working on the last several class periods. For those word problems, make sure you set up a system of equations. You may want to set up a chart possibly first as well, but make sure you set up the system and solve. Listen, if you get stuck on one, just move on. Okay? Probably a small mistake, not worth losing a bunch of points for not getting to something. There's only 6 problems on the quiz. Think about how much each one's got to be worth. 15, 16 points on average, so don't get stuck. All right, keep your work covered, and you may begin.